All right, welcome to C-3, Entry-Level Summative Assessment Data. And I've titled this Inquiry Assessment Data because really it's all of the data that you're collecting, important data, I should say, from your inquiry. And the two most important pieces of your inquiry are the entry-level assessment and the summative assessment. The reason for that is because we're looking for student growth between the entry-level and the summative. So how better to measure that than to actually look at it on an Excel spreadsheet, or in the case of our Google Sheet, which basically functions the exact same way. Now, you already wrote and administered your entry-level assessment, and what you want to do is figure out what your scoring guide would be to put those students into achievement levels. So I've given you an example. For instance, 0 to 69% might be standard not met. 70 to 79 might be standard nearly met or achievement level 2, etc. This is just an example. Really, I would talk to your team and your CT and figure out what works best for you and what works best for your students. But again, I can't say this enough. I'm going to be redundant in my speech and say the goal is to see growth from entry level to summative assessment. So we want to actually put all of your students down on this sheet. The nice thing is if you can put that information into ORS, you can download an Excel spreadsheet and then just copy and paste. But do try to remember you do not want to have your last name. You just want to have the last initial here. Then you'll go through and you'll add the student percentages. They will automatically be entered as a percentage, as you can see here. And then you want to say what that achievement level would have been. Those both would be 1 on my scale. Maybe this person scored a 72, and that would be a 2 on my scoring guide. And then eventually at the end of your inquiry, you're going to give the summative assessment and grade that. And you'll put in those scores here. So maybe this student raised up from a 34 to an 80%. This student had a 56 on the entry level and a 75 on the final. This student had a 72 and a 95 on the final. And you can put in your achievement levels there. And what you're going to see over here in this green colored column is the percentage of difference. The reason I didn't say percentage of growth is because some students might have dipped in their growth. So they didn't grow, they went down a little, and that does happen. That's because your entry level is most likely assessing 2 different things. It's going to assess prerequisite knowledge as well as new knowledge. And if your student really understood what the concept was before, but doesn't understand the concept now, you might see that score dip a little bit. So I want to bring some things to your attention. First of all, I left more than enough lines so that if you have a class that exceeds 38, you have enough lines to put all of your students in. If you have more students, all you're going to do is select a little band of that and add more rows. Insert 6 above or below, it doesn't matter. And then I have already put in your formulas for you. So this tells you what the average percentage was for entry level, what the average percentage is for summative, and then you're going to notice the percentage of growth. This is going to be an average, but because of the 0% all the way down here, you're going to notice this is only 3.97. That's actually not true. And so what you're going to have to do is either delete all of these rows, or you can go through and delete the formula in these rows. And that'll give you a more clear indication of how much growth your students have made throughout the inquiry. I'm going to undo that because this is something that you're going to be using. So I'll delete everything, and you'll see you definitely want to make sure you delete my example student because it will skew your results. I hope that helps, and good luck with the rest of your inquiry.